Welcome back, everybody, to the CCA League Season 3 Semifinals. I am DRF, joined by Weef, and that certainly was not the first time that I had to say that. Weef, how are you doing tonight?
I'm having a fantastic time. Wonderful Sunday night. The weather where I live, at least, is beautiful, and I'm very excited to watch this matchup. I've heard you say that it's one of the most anticipated matchups of the night.
It certainly is. I mean, all of these semifinal matches so far have been fantastic, but I think this is the one that everyone has been looking forward to. It is the Florida Gulf Coast University Thunderbirds taking on Old Bay Brigade here in the Division 2 semifinals. Taking a look here, we're going to be diving right on into game number 1, Clam Blitz on Flounder Heights. We've taken a look at these comps. What are you noticing?
I noticed double splatling, which is incredibly awesome in my opinion. I'm a splatling main, so I'm not biased at all. We also see the L3D that I believe Marsh is known for, and we'll definitely see him tear it up in there. But on the other team, we see a Clash Blaster, Blob, two weapons that don't really have much of a place in the meta, but are still incredibly fun and pretty popular picks for a lot of new players.
Certainly, as early on, we will be seeing Old Bay Brigade in control here. They're able to take full control of that mid area, and now it's Florida Gulf Coast that is stuck underneath their baskets, just trying to put as much of that yellow paint down in response, preventing any sort of push out of Old Bay Brigade, but they don't quite have the clams to pull it off just yet. But if they continue to get these picks like they have and pass around the clams, they will get this push off, and they are gonna start piling these clams in. Wow, what an opening push.
We can see here, you know, there's been a lot of debate recently on whether Flounder Heights is a good map or not. And regardless, you rarely see clanless Flounder in map lists, but this is kind of why. You can start these really crucial lockouts early, and on in a game mode like Clam Blitz, that's absolutely imperative to get those massive point pushes, like down to all the way, push 53 points in one push that, you know, we saw from Old Bay Brigade here. So we're gonna see if FGCU Thunderbirds has a response to that, or if they're gonna be, you know, kind of locked in mid. It's 2v2. We see Marsh bring out that Ultra Stamp, which is going to push a lot of numbers back, and ultimately gets one pick. We'll see if it can cook out another here. It does not, but he gets instantly a Burst Bomb out and picks it off. And we see already Power Clams being made, Power Clams going in. Let's see if their push can rival Old Bay's.
Well, they do get the 2 power clams to start, plus some change on top of that, so they will get the lead from that. A fantastic push here by Florida Gulf Coast, as they will take the 2-point advantage, nothing more on top of that. So effectively tying up this game, taking a slight edge nonetheless, and that is gonna put them in a pretty solid position here as we approach the second half of this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, while Old Bay Brigade was able to set up more of a continued hold and slowly drip feed their clams in, that was really explosive from Thunderbirds. They got those 2 power clams in, which really kickstarted things off, and then they just only had a few more clams to get in from there. And now we look like things are once again on the other foot. We have a Super Clam going into Thunderbird's basket. The Super Clam jumping in, that is going to hurt the score all the way down to 33, and they are showing no signs of stopping. Still plenty of clams on the board. They get a wipe. It's only the mini that's responding yet. And with so many people going back and cycling clams, it's looking very dangerous for Thunderbirds.
Oh, it certainly is, as we see the cherry on top there. And Old Bay Brigade will win game number 1.
Yeah. Really balanced, but once again, on Clam Blitz, or it's not specifically Clam Blitz, but on Flounder Heights, it can be so hard to get out of defense there. We saw just wipe after wipe as Old Bay was just able to hold so well. But you know, we are going to a different map mode next, and I can imagine that things might shake up a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that it possibly will. I mean, we saw both teams have some fantastic holds there. With, you know, Marsh leading the way for Florida Gulf Coast, things were a little bit more explosive, as you mentioned. I don't know if they're going to necessarily be able to do that same exact thing here. with Splat Zones Mako Mark on deck, you know, this is one of those where you kind of just have to play a little bit of a tug of war, but once you do get a grip of the zone, you just cannot let go. You need to establish yourself very quickly underneath those various ledges, have someone start to set up a flank, and I think whoever's going to win that early tug of war, we will most likely see a lockout situation here just based on the way that those two teams played in game number 1.
I will say Thunderbirds were running a Tri-Slosher, and there is nothing, and I mean nothing, more annoying than a Tri-Slosher or a machine or any of those close-range weapons sharking under your drop on the right side of Mako Mart there. It makes it so hard to get out, and like you said, you can just hold for such a long time as long as you keep yourself safe and take your engagements wisely.
Certainly, as these teams are just about ready up here, and we will be diving right on into game number 2. Splat Zones, Mako Mart. Weef, let's take a look at these compositions.
We see the double Splatling come out yet again. No comp change from Thunderbirds, sticking with what they were running either. And then we see an E-leader from Old Bay Brigade going to provide a lot of stability in this zone. You know, Fonder Heights is not a good map for Charger, but Mako Mart certainly is. And like I was saying, there's nothing more annoying than a Tri-Slosher or machine under your drop. And we see a machine here going to be spamming fizzies out, getting Booyah Bombs out the wazoo, and generally being a very solid pick for Old Bay Brigade. But right now, it looks like they are 3 down, as Thunderbirds are going to be probably moving in pretty solidly here, getting a good push right off the bat.
Oh, yeah, this is a much different start here for Florida Gulf Coast, as they are just on a tear here, able to get all the picks that they need to keep this push alive, and that's basically going to be everybody going down. It's a 1v1 between the two back lines, and it's the E-leader now pick off the Splatling before they can back up. Marsh is going to try to save the day, but not going to be successful there. Marsh is a fantastic player, but I don't think he's going to win that 1v3.
Yeah, sometimes things just shake out that way, you know, that's basically the correct way to deal with such a powerful player, is to try and isolate them and make it so where even though they are much mechanically better than you, you just have the sheer numbers, and if you manage to flub that, then it's kind of on you. But right now, we see Old Bay taking, you know, continuing to hold this zone, taking down all the way to 75. They are 2 down right now, but so are the Thunderbirds. We're seeing specials pop out. Inkjet going to provide a lot of pressure, you know, recently buffed, doing a lot more and having much more of a solid place now. V-Try doing a lot of damage, and that, is going to force Old Bay Brigade back and going to force that cap back to Thunderbirds.
So here's that tug of war that we were talking about, as these teams are going back and forth with control of the zone. Neither team, I think, has really gotten a very strong grip of it quite yet. Ooh. As we do see multiple players going down on either side here. This mini Splatling gonna have to run for their life. They're ultimately gonna get shut down by the Clash Blaster. So now this will be Old Bay Brigade that's out of the penalty, adding significant points to the board, closing the lead and trying to capture for themselves, actually.
Yeah, that's really, really close here. We're gonna see if Marsh with this Ultra Stamp can get a clutch tap, but not soon enough. They do get 3 down finally, but they did lose their lead. They do have to hold for about 20 seconds or so to get this lead back, and that's going to be no easy task. 2 down, Marsh is down, so is the Tri-Slosher, and it's only the Splatlings on this zone. Splatlings are very good at controlling space. When there are 4 players rushing right into Zukas and Ink Strikes abound, it's going to be very hard to hold that zone, and their push is ended early here. With about half the game left, they're really going to have to really focus on getting that cap back and, you know, thinking of how they're going to hold it for a long time, not just for a brief burst like they were in just then.
Oh, and it's going to have to start with getting all the right picks here, as Amia is able to shut down that Tri-Slosher. This will get them out of the penalty. Marsh not able to win the 1v2 on that right stack, and this is now approaching knockout territory. Here's the lockout that we were looking for. It took quite a while to get here, but it looks like Old Bay Brigade is in the right positions to force the victory here. The Tri-Slosher goes down. Marsh going to come out with the hammer for the neutral, and 2 players going down on either side. The Bria Bomb's gonna come out to hold the zone, and Old Bay Brigade will hold out for game number 2.
That was a very explosive ending there. The hammer coming out, but then going down. It looked like they had Florida Gulf Coast had a chance there for a second of, giving themselves one last chance, but Old Bay Brigade really got the clutch there and were able to keep on holding. You never want to be forced into that situation where there's like 15 points left on the board and all of your teams are respawning and you don't have many specials, and it's just a very uncomfortable situation to be in.
Yeah, certainly. That was a bit of a tough one there. It's the tug of war that we were kind of talking about there just lasted so much longer than at least I was anticipating. But that makes for such a better match at the same time to at least be watching. So I'm sure both of those teams were kind of just itching a little bit, like, please, like, can we just hold on to the zone for just a little bit longer than these kind of short spurts back and forth. Old Bay Brigade finally figuring it out there. They did a fantastic job of taking team fights there, isolating Marsh whenever they could, and really, rendering him, I don't want to say rendering him useless, but like just making it super difficult for Marsh to do the things that he's known for.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, like I said during the match, that's just how you want to deal with that. And they are doing a fantastic job. But you can tell that Thunderbirds do really want this win. They've been both these games have been super, super close. And as we go into the third one, Museum Tower Control, we're going to see how they fare, if they're going to be able to push forward past the tower and hold those checkpoints for, as long as they need. Gonna be a really interesting one. Once again, Thunderbirds sticking with their comp, and looks like their Old Bay Brigade is swapping out their machine for a Nautilus.
Interesting choice there. So that's really, I guess, the only notable adjustment. So we'll have to see how Fell's Nautilus fares here, as they're going to be taking a very early trade, and we're just going to go ahead and start off with a grand old bloodbath here in mid. 15 seconds in, 4 players already fallen.
I wouldn't expect anything less from this matchup. It's been what we've been seeing all the time, trading picks for picks. Really a very interesting neutral game here. Looks like this heavy splatling is going to get caught out by both the Nautilus and the Cloud Blaster. Once again, doing a really good job of taking team fights here. 2 down on the side of Thunderbirds, and it looks like they're not quite on the tower yet, but they are pushing forward like they want to be really scoring here.
Oh man, yeah, this is just, I'm very reminiscent of that last game that we saw, where both of these teams are just kind of trying to get control of mid. There is some focus on the objective, but it's just so scrappy to start, and they're just kind of poking at each other, just little by little, waiting to see if anyone's gonna make the first big mistake that they can capitalize on, because so far everything's really been a trade.
Yeah, but, notably, Old Bay Brigade had a lot of control there for a minute, but Thunderbirds were able to jump on the tower for just a second. It's still such a solid neutral game. Both these teams are just dancing around each other, just scrapping it out, clawing for any advantage they can, and it's going. And, that 3 down situation that Thunderbirds is currently in may be exactly what they need. Leader on the tower, only Marsh left alive, actually just going down there with the hammer. Activate or ready actually, and now they're gonna be rapidly approaching the second checkpoint here. First one already broken. Mini trying to go behind and get anything off, but unfortunately getting picked off, and that's gonna be a full wipeout, and a wipeout on Museum can be a very dangerous thing.
It certainly can, as we see the exact effects of that right here, as all the players on the side of Old Bay Brigade are just pushing up now, and they're within knockout range, and they will secure it once again here in game number 3. Old Bay Brigade is on a roll, leading 3-0.
That was a far cry from what we saw the last 2 games. The last 2 games were really even, and I wasn't really sure who was going to win, but once that knockout came, I just kind of knew that Thunderbirds would have had to pull out something really amazing to get that going. But it looks like Old Brigade are really confident right now. They have a lot of momentum in a lot of wind in their sails, and they're just riding it to their heart's content.
Absolutely. It's, Old Bay Brigade, they have kind of been on this roll since week 2. In week 1, they lost to Ohio State 3-4. I believe at that point they added Amiya to the roster, and since then they have not looked back, I believe dropping 1 game the rest of the way through. And it's been very, very impressive to kind of see just how strong this team has been just with that simple addition.
Yeah. One player can make a lot of difference, not even just in like their mechanical skill, but if you have, for example, a really good shot caller or somebody who just adds a lot of cohesion, plays with weapons that work really well with what you already have, it can change a lot. It can change the vibe, make you like more confident, and confidence is what these guys have right now. It looks like they're not going to be making too many changes to their comps, considering that they're all ready right now, but I don't know, they've really blown me away so far.
Certainly, and I mean, they've just been killing it all season long. 19-4 is their individual game record, so that which is pretty impressive over a 5-week span.
Yeah, that's what you want to see, I guess. I mean, a playoffs is all about momentum here. You kind of have to have momentum because if you lose, you're out. So I don't know. It's been very exciting, but we're gonna see if Rainmaker Scorch Gorge gives Thunderbirds what they have to finally get a game here. They are making some changes to their comps, notably. I think that was the mini being dropped for a T-Tech.
Huh, okay. So yeah, a couple of just very small adjustments here. So I don't think that's gonna, quite change any sort of grand schemes for either team. It's gonna be business as usual, as we are gonna see another scrappy fight once again to start things off. It's gonna be 2 down on either side. Make that a 3rd going down on the side of Old Bay Brigade. Marsh will pick up this Rainmaker. Gonna have to dodge this E-leader, but this first checkpoint should fall for free.
Does not quite fall for free because the leader was there anticipating that jump, able to get the pick perfectly before it, and that is going to be pretty unfortunate for them, but they get it anyway with a little bit of a breakaway from that heavy splatling there. I mean, you always want to be in a position where you are going to be able to push past that checkpoint after you get it, but just getting it out of the way is going to be so relieving for them when they eventually are going to want to push past it, because they're not going to have to stall, they're not going to have to stop what they're doing and get popped, or use more of their specials to maintain their hold. They can just go for it here. But Old Bay Brigade is going to get their checkpoint in turn, and with 3 downs on Thunderbirds, they could definitely turn this into another snowball if we've been seeing from them all night.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Old Bay Brigade just has all this momentum behind them, and they will let it ride all the way to 35 points remaining. And I don't think this push is quite over yet, as Turtle King and Fell are gonna both be hanging around here. They're gonna drop back, so that might spell the end here. But no, it's actually just enough to get Amiya back in to the action here. And they're gonna go and try to pick up this Rainmaker, but Logo's gonna actually pick it up instead and try to protect it with their life. Their teammates coming up clutch to prevent any sort of shenanigans from Old Bay Brigade, and they will go ahead and reset this Rainmaker themselves.
Yeah, with everyone down for the leader, it's great to get that position, but that leader can just hold so much space by themselves that you can't really do much. They still have to fight to get into mid, let alone past it. We're going to see a bit of a T-Tech on T-Tech violent situation there, but the Knot is going to come help finish it off. It's 2v2. Marsh over there on the L3 focusing on getting the Rainmaker popped, but once again, leader scope all the way from, just that snipe area is still able to reach the ramp, which is just absolutely crazy. Soda is going to come out from the that Trident Slosher Nouveau over there, but the Nautilus is going to basically get a nice, beautiful double and allow their team to come in and collapse on the Rainmaker here. Once again, a very, very dangerous situation that Thunderbirds has found themselves in.
But once again, they will find their way out of it also. So playing a very dangerous game is Florida Gulf Coast, as they are struggling to just get this Rainmaker out of their base. Amiya gonna try to push up and grab this Rainmaker, but no, not gonna be able to do so. But they will keep the pressure up nonetheless, hoping to just have one of their teammates come in, grab this Rainmaker, and keep this push going, as Fell continues to be on a tear here, getting multiple picks to try to open this right side once more for their team.
Fellows an absolute monster on this Nautilus, getting pick after pick. I'm not sure if the Thunderbirds know how to deal with the Nautilus. It's so interesting because it's a splatling. It has the core mechanics of a splatling, whereas like if it has a charge, you cannot walk towards it. It's just going to shred you. It has one of the fastest kill times in the game with a full charge, but it has high mobility. It can charge hold. It can do so many things, and it looks like Thunderbirds just don't know how to deal with it right now, as Old Bay Brigade is going to be gearing up for yet another push.
Trying to find a couple more picks. They do find one. There's the second, and with their teammates jumping in, it looks like that they will be at full strength here for this push. But no, they're going to start to get pushed back just a little bit. Going to stall behind this pillar for as long as possible. Just let that timer tick away. A very valid strategy at this point here, because you really don't need to put more points on the board. It'll be nice if you can, and it looks like they will, as they're going to start to move up just enough, just teetering on the point of adding more points, and they will get stopped. But the key thing from this push is they wasted so much time, and this is going to make it so difficult for Florida Gulf Coast to get back into this game and make a game-winning push.
However, they did crucially go 3 down in that situation, which means that their Thunderbirds may be able to snowball that. They get mid control, they get the leader down. That is basically a delayed wipe, and now we're gonna see these members of Thunderbirds go in as hard as they can. Rainmaker does get picked off. It's just Marsh, and that is gonna be a heartbreaking end to that Rainmaker game, as Old Bay Brigade once again takes it in spades.
Wow, I mean, just Old Bay Brigade continues to dominate. We saw a great ending push there by Florida Gulf Coast, but I think it was just too much time was wasted in Old Bay Brigade's last possession. They managed to force that timer all the way down to 30 remain. They didn't add any more points to the board, but they've just chipped away at the clock, and that's all they needed to do. 35 is relatively safe lead in Scorched Gorge. It's definitely something you could still overcome, and we almost saw it right there. But at that stage, if you have that map control, all you got to do is make it as difficult as possible for the other team to have a reasonable Rainmaker push.
Yeah, and I once again, I want to just call out how well Old Bay Brigade has been doing with taking fights. It's very rare to see one of them, at least from what I've seen, taking a fight without a teammate, at least in assistant range. They've been doing a fantastic job there. Even at the beginning of Scorched Gorge, we saw a few of them taken out by the tribe, but they're just able to pair up, and especially with that Nautilus, it can do so much work paired with another teammate that's just really allowing them to excel and get those pushes and get those holds.
Well, here we are. This is going to be Florida Gulf Coast's last stand. It's match point for Old Bay Brigade here. Clamblitz Inkblot Art Academy. They need to win out from here to keep their championship hopes alive. Comps mostly going to be the same, but we do see a Wiper and an Explo coming in and already making an impact as Florida Gulf Coast gets delayed wiped.
Yeah. That's going to be absolutely crucial. I mean, just allowing them to take so much space. Already we see Old Bay Brigade building clams. They already get one in, and it looks like the Expo is going to be jumping to bats. Going to be getting that clam and unfortunately going down themselves, but no matter, because it's only that tri-slash right there. Their teammates are going to be filing in. They're going to be getting that tactical, which is going to allow them to take a little bit more risk in these opening fights. But that is going to be the end of Old Bay Brigade's push, but they still have such a good control of Plat. The Nautilus is still there. Not anymore. It does get taken out, but it's just not giving they're not giving Thunderbirds any chance to retake mid here.
No, they aren't. They're doing such a good job of just keeping them at bay here, making it so difficult for them to just get out of their spawn, just getting all the right kills, picking 2v1 fights, and I think for the first time now, we are going to see Florida Gulf Coast actually be able to get out of their spawn just a little bit here. They're going to all clash right around this right stack. 2 members down on the side of Old Bay Brigade, make that a third, and this will be an opportunity for Florida Gulf Coast to start pushing up, but they don't have any clams, so there won't be a scoring opportunity here, but at the very least, they should find map control back in their favor.
I mean, with map control comes clams, with map control comes specials. There's a lot of good things to be said about them getting mid here. We do see the trade between the T-Techs and then also the Wiper Jets go down. This looks like Old Bay Brigade might be even getting ready for another push. Heavy goes down. There's everyone around here just going down. It's only the T-Tech though. This push is not going to be too disastrous. It looks like Thunderbirds, unlike the last push, are going to have a chance to rebound, get their specials up, get back into mid before too many points are scored.
Yeah, a much cleaner stop there for the Thunderbirds, as now they are just trying to keep themselves alive, but not able to do so there. Taking more trades and more 2v1s that are not in their favor. So this is just going to continue to complicate things for Florida Gulf Coast, as we are now in the second half of this game and they have yet to find a good scoring opportunity here. And with Old Bay Brigade sitting at 51 and already having chipped away at that penalty, it's, you know, they really can't make any mistakes on the defensive end here.
Yeah, I mean, any defense, you know, with what we saw in the first game, Flounder here, if you give Thunderbirds the chance to push, they're going to take it. They're going to be able to push really hard, but right now, with once again going 3 down, it just seems like they can't maintain mid control long enough to get the resources that they need to form a push, which is absolutely a great thing on Old Bay's part. We do see just players going down left and right, 2 down on both sides. Just the Tri-Slosher alive yet again, out in mid, gets picked off by the Nautilus, who is then going to pick up a ball, and it's going to have a chance to just hold mid. The Nautilus is still, Splatling is still excelling at holding.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And continuing to find picks.
Oh
There's
my
a double
God.
once again for Fell. Make it a triple, opening the pathway to this basket. And they're going to try to add on to their lead here. Amia going to come in, not going to be able to dunk the ball. A great stop there, but going to pick off 2 more as they go down.
If there's an MVP in this game, it is going to absolutely be Fell, allowing their team with the pick after pick after pick to go in and get some last minute scores in, all the way down to 25. Even if they did lose a lot of members, even if they did allow Thunderbirds to get mid control back, getting it down all the way to 25 is absolutely worth it, because Thunderbirds, who haven't been able to find a single push opportunity, are now in this position where they have to push. That's 3 power clams plus like 4 more in order for them to even think about getting lead back. This is no easy feat here, especially when we only have 15 seconds left. It is just the Wiper, and the Wiper goes down. If Thunderbirds has any chance to win it, they have to take mid control back in about 10 seconds, make a ball in about 10 seconds. It is not looking good as they just keep going down. Fell, once again, getting the absolutely crucial last minute picks, and game 5 goes to Old Bay Brigade.
What a dominant semifinals performance from Old Bay Brigade as they sweep Florida Gulf Coast out of the bracket. Wow.
Yeah, we were talking about how they haven't lost a game since they added Amia to the team, and they're certainly able to keep that streak up. And, you know, as they go further and further on in the bracket, we might see that streak continue even more. I mean, certainly if this entire set was anything to go by.
Yeah, I mean, this whole set was just, you know, kind of insane, because you know, we were going into this saying that this was one of the most highly anticipated matchups that we have seen in Division 2 semifinals. I mean, let alone the entire league. So it's just crazy to see that how dominant Old Bay Brigade was here, and they now punched their tickets to Grand Finals, where they will be taking on the Carne Inxada Fries out of San Diego State University. So that is going to be another interesting matchup. I know Florida Gulf Coast was itching to get there because they did not get to play each other in the regular season. Florida Gulf Coast had to forfeit that matchup, so they wanted to be able to actually play each other for the first time in Grand Finals. But no, Old Bay Brigade going to deny them that opportunity and said, hey, we'll take care of business for you.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for there, but there's always next season, I guess, if you're them. Still, great performance from them, especially in those first few games. It was very, very tight, but just as Old Bay got more and more momentum, it just looked more and more in their favor as time went on.
Oh, absolutely. Because like that first game was definitely a bit back and forth. We saw some great pushes on either side. Old Bay Brigade figured it out about halfway through and managed to dominate their way to a knockout. And I think pretty much every game here was a knockout, barring that last one. And I guess for the record of it as well, Old Bay Brigade does lead Division 2 in KOs with 8 going into this matchup. Florida Gulf Coast was actually right behind them with 7. But Old Bay Brigade was like, hey, yeah, that's our thing. We're going to go ahead and knock you out 4 times here.
That was, yeah, they're absolutely a force to be reckoned with. Definitely definitely tune in for the grand finals of this division, because that's going to be a fun match to watch.
Oh, certainly. And that will be going on next weekend. All of our grand finals will be streamed on Saturday and Sunday, April 22nd and 23rd. We will get that schedule out to you all as soon as we know, and that will be as soon as the teams know when they're all able to play, because college schedules are insane.
Yeah, definitely. But if that's all from us.
Yeah, I think so. Weef, thank you so much for joining me for this matchup today. Go ahead and plug yourself. Where can the people of our chat find you?
Anytime. You can find me on both Twitter and Twitch at Weefslider. Like Reefslider, the special we did not get to see because it's bad, but with a W. And that's it.
And as for myself, you can go ahead and find me on Twitter at DRF_Splatoon and on Twitch at TritonDRF. But as always, you can find me more often here on the production end of the CCA Twitch channel. Thank you all so much for joining us through every single semifinals matchup from Division 2 to Division 7. As we said, Division 1 will get a special coverage next weekend as part of Grand Finals weekend. We will stream every single playoff match from that division, so be on the lookout for that as well. This has been DRF and Weef here from the commentary booth. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone, and we will see you next week for Grand Finals.